Hey everybody, this is Perch. Good news, bad news. So the good news I'm gonna tell you in a second, and the bad news I'll read you a mail and then we'll talk about that. So kind of good, bad. That's where we're gonna go with this. So the good news is, hey, over in Jim Zub land, and Zub has been a pretty amazing guy. I like Zub. Um, I think a lot of people on Twitter or on YouTube or wherever they endorse people for, I want to say, silly reasons. So that, it's like, hey, here's somebody who will talk to me. I like them. I like Zub because, Zub is a good, honest guy. He seems friendly. He seems passionate about his craft, and I enjoy talking with him. I legitimately enjoy, talking with him. If I was flying through, where he lives in that area, I would go out of my way to see him because it'd be worth it. And for that matter, I met up with him at one point, and it was not convenient to do so, and I regret nothing. It was a good time to do it, and it was enjoyable because he's the kind of guy that when you think about a business or whatever else, comics in this case, he's somebody that you want to talk to. And there's many people in comics like that, but I like him. And so sometimes good things happen to good people. So I'll read this note to you, and this comes from Zub on his X account. It says, "Ecstatic to announce I've signed a long-term contract with Heroic Signatures to keep writing Conan the Barbarian. I'll be staying on the monthly Conan comic for at least the next 3 years, along with event miniseries, Savage short stories, and other surprises yet to come." Okay, so here's why this is such a good news thing. Okay, for fans, it means you're going to have a consistent voice for 3 years, for at least, for a number of different stories involving Conan. And that's a good thing. Consistency means you're going to get somebody who's free to tell longer stories, to tease things out, to do subplots, all the rest. You're going to get somebody who does that. For Zub, it means financial security. Quite frankly, he knows where the check's going to be coming from for 3 years. And so it allows him to not worry about, fishing for this job here or talking to this job there or anything. I mean, he may want to get other work. I'm sure he's not just going to do Conan, but it basically means that, left to his own devices, he knows what he's doing for 3 years, which means he gets to focus on the story, on the craft. And that's pretty amazing. That's a good thing for him. For retailers, it means here's a book I can more or less count on. If it's selling well in my store, I know it likely will continue to sell well because I've got a consistent voice. If it's selling badly, I can ignore it, right? It's consistency is helpful. So this is good. This is in an industry where there are problems, an industry where oftentimes a lot is random and people make strange choices and they do weird things. This is good. This is how it should be. So congratulations to Jim Zub. Congratulations to Heroic Signatures and Conan. And your mileage may vary, and many of you, whenever I say something like I like this guy, I like what is going on here, many of you will show up in the comments like he's a dick, and that's fine. That's your opinion. But I like I'm not a huge Conan fan, and yet I like what he's doing with Conan. And it's really the greatest compliment I can give him or Heroic or anyone else, which is you're taking a property that is not my number one property and you're making me actually like it, where now I read it every month and I look forward to it. And that is the biggest compliment I think I could provide you. So that's enough fluffing, Mr. Zub, but good for you. That is easily the top news of the industry. So by contrast, now we'll go to the bad news. And the bad news, I'm going to, and it's not bad news. It's just bad opinion. It's bad cycle that comics have gotten themselves into. So let me read this mail. It says, "Hey, Perch. I just got to the mid part of Blood Rain. Blood Rain? And we, what's funny is these events have gotten so crappy that I have forgotten, I get confused as to what the event is. If you listen to a video I did a couple days ago around absolute power, and I was really struggling with the name of absolute power. I'm like, what are they calling that again? Fuck, I do not remember what that was. It's not Blood Rain. It's Blood Hunt. Sorry, it just dawned on me. This is actually the problem. Anyway, okay, letter writer got to the midpoint of Blood Hunt. Um, I'm not okay. This is a letter writer again. I'm not excited about this event. The art is good. I have nothing against Jed McKay. He seems like he's a good writer, but I know that this event is going to end with a tease for the next event. So, what is the point of this event? For that matter, what is the point of any event? Comics now revolve around events that are designed to sell the next event. I know what you're going to say, Perch. I doubt that. I know what you're going to say, Perch, that comics have been this way forever. That one issue leads to the next, and that is what sequential storytelling is all about. But events should feel like payoffs. They should not feel like coming attractions for more events. And yet, this is all that Marvel and DC seem to be. Why are we forever in a recycle upon recycle mode of part-time temporary writers telling stories that really don't matter except to set up the next story that doesn't matter? Am I wrong here? Did I take the wrong black pill? Help me out. So the bad news here is I can't help you out because that is what comics have become. You know, the reason why the Jim Zub Conan news is so significant is it means for 3 years, you've got one person who can fully explore where the stories go. It means, you know, you're going to want some short-term storytelling because you're going to want to make, you know, monthly numbers, but you can also focus on long-term value. The way the big two operate, and the big two are the big two because they sell a lot of volume, they have all the IP and the characters that everybody knows and everything else. They've got the history, and yet they're operating like it's a, you know, hand-to-mouth business. I don't know if they do this in school anymore, but once upon a time, when Perch was younger, he took a class in high school called economics, and in economics, they taught you about the difference between sustainable business, sustainable financing, getting a job and saving money and having a, you know, investing into the market and everything else. And the fact that you wanted to evolve away from what they called a hand-to-mouth lifestyle. I don't know if any of you know this term, but to explain it, hand-to-mouth means, you know, you get paid, you immediately put the money you make into your bills and to food, and you run your money to zero, and then you get another check and you repeat the cycle. You're not really putting any money away. You're not saving anything. You're not building any kind of future. So you become dependent on your job. If you don't have a job, you're fucked. You know, you can no longer put the food into your mouth. So it's hand to mouth. And the goal always in life was, hey, when you come out of college, you're going to have debt and everything else. But, you know, you want to try and evolve outside of hand to mouth into sustainable income, into a world where, yeah, you could lose your job for a year and you're not going to starve. That you could actually think about retirement, that, you know, you get to pick and choose what work, rather than just take the job that's going to pay you money, you know, for in the moment. And the problem is, you know, in comics, if you look at it through that lens or through that cycle, the big two are giant companies that in theory have IP and have value and have history, which means that they don't have to operate hand to mouth. They don't need to just count on whatever comic they're selling this month to sell enough to do the next comic. That's what an independent would have to do. That's what Red 5 or Scout comics need to do. They only survive by how much they're selling this month. And if they don't sell enough this month, then, you know, they're screwed and they have to, you know, they're going to have to go borrow money in order to keep going. You know, the hope is that you sell enough that you get sustainable business. Well, Marvel and DC should be there. And you know, this is a little bit extreme. Marvel and DC are certainly not a hand-to-mouth business, certainly not funded by Warner Inc. and Disney. But if you look at the way they approach their business, if you look at how they're doing their contracts with their creators, I mean, how wild is it? I mean, have you heard of Heroic Productions, the Conan? Have you ever heard of that company? Be honest. Okay, you're lying if 5% of you have heard of it. Okay, there's also Titan in the mix. More of you may have heard of that one, but nobody's heard of that company. And yet, this company has given a writer, not even an artist in a visual medium, but a writer, a contract for 3 years. Okay, where are you going to be at in 3 years? I don't know. You're going to be toiling under the reign of, President Biden because Trump will implode, or maybe he'll be dead and you'll have President Harris. I don't know, but like, who knows where you're going to be in 3 years? Yeah, you're like 3 years is unfathomable to a lot of people, and you've got this comic company that nobody knows about, and they're giving a writer money, and they're giving him certainty for 3 years in the future. Meanwhile, you've got the big two. You've got Marvel and DC, and they are, they're struggling to figure out how to survive month to month. And I'm sorry, survive is the wrong word, but just how to tell stories. You're right. The events are painful. I don't know why I'm saying it. Biden dropped out of the race. I've been dealing with some health stuff, so it's like the news has been weird for me. But Biden dropped out of the race. So I guess you're definitely getting Harris. I don't know. Maybe Trump pulls it out. Fucking, I don't know. Feel free to argue about this in the comments because nobody likes political discourse more than comic book channels. But anyway, sorry, just dawns on me. Like, what's going on with fucking politics? God damn it. I want to, like, move me to Switzerland right now. Anywhere. Whatever. Look, the challenge is, to letter writer's point, is the big two are acting like they're hand-to-mouth companies in their writing, in their storylines, in the contracts they give people, and everything. They're acting like, they're doing a lot of short-term work. People who are on big titles do not have certainty. If you're Jed McKay, you kind of get the sense that Marvel likes you and they're giving you work, so you're not screwed there. But all the same, like, if Jed McKay's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna write a decent long-term story. Does he have 3 years of life in him? If he just did his own thing, did what he thought is right for the business, and it wasn't what Marvel thought, he'd be gone in 6 months. You remember when Donny Cates was the next big thing? It just took pissing at a birthday party to end that little run. So like Donnie was top of Marvel, and 6 months later he was invisible. That's the big two. Again, meanwhile, you got Heroic giving a guy, this Canadian guy who's nice, because apparently all Canadian people are nice. Except Chip Zdarsky. Fuck you. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Chip. I'm kidding. Just trying to start new feuds. I mean, like, I ran Steve Orlando into the ground. But like, that should be an indicator that things are broken. Or if you're a positive guy, glass half full guy, it's an indicator that the business is changing. So, yeah, I think good news, bad news. Good news, this is a great sign that a company is giving that amount of certainty into a writer, and we will all benefit, both in the industry and fans. And even if you hate Conan, even if you hate Jim Zub, this is still the right thing to do. Okay, Zub has written a title that is getting sales that people are buying and they're liking. And the fact they're buying and liking it means he's being rewarded with more work. And that's as absolutely correct and capitalist and yeah, that is the way. Trademark Disney. That is the way. And the bad news is the giants in this industry are operating like this. We can only plan 2 months in advance, and that every event has to set up the next event, because if we stop doing that, the whole world will come apart. That's the problem. Anyway, what do you think? Tell me who's going to win the presidency. So I can mock you later. Anyway, thanks for listening.